It's Istanbul, not Constantinople, but is it really nobody's business but the Turks? This is SkyWatchTV for Thursday, July 21st, 2016. I'm Derek Gilbert. Of course, I'm making reference to the song Istanbul, not Constantinople, and the big geopolitical shift in the world that occurred while we were away at the Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference. That, plus, of course, the deadly terror attack in Nice, France, that left 84 people dead. The revolution or failed coup in Turkey has been described by President Recep Tayyip Erdogan as a gift from God, and it has allowed him to literally purge thousands of people from the judiciary, from the police forces, and from the military, which is where the coup began. What does this mean going forward? At the conference, had the opportunity to talk to a number of scholars who pay close attention to what happens in the Middle East and get their take on what happened last weekend in Turkey.
And this is an auspicious day on many continents. Things are looking up. You and I have talked about Brexit, and on this very day, we're talking national politics in the United States, and we're talking major shakeups in the Middle East, going back to Turkey. And apparently, Recep Tayyip Erdogan has fled the coup. Is looking out to save himself. Here's the thing, and you may know more about this than I do. ISIS and Erdogan had worked out a pretty good deal together.
Well, it appears that there was a handshake agreement between the two where the Islamic State was able to use a Turkish route to move oil that it was taking to the black market and was selling from a Turkish port. Which was financing a lot of what the Islamic State was doing. And it wasn't until, as Americans, it's embarrassing to admit, but it wasn't until the Russians entered the Syrian civil war September last that somebody started bombing the oil convoys of the Islamic State to put a stop to it, even though we had been over there, the United States Air Force had been conducting raids, ostensibly, for over a year at that point. So it could be that the military in Turkey, which is more secular, less Islamist than Erdogan, who wanted to restore the caliphate, the Ottoman Empire. He had neo-Ottoman ambitions. It could be that the military finally had enough of this cozy relationship with the Islamic State and decided to just take Erdogan out of the picture.
And the Islamic State has had nothing but green lights and blue skies for a long, long time because essentially we're not opposing the rise of the old caliphate, which is an odd position for our government to take. But I have to say, and particularly as a Bible teacher, our government has fled from its traditional moral underpinnings. The moorings that have held this society together, from the Joint Chiefs of Staff on down, you used to be able to say those are Christian gentlemen, and the Army, Navy, and Air Force chaplains were Christian gentlemen. And now Christianity is being ushered out of the military. Our military is becoming secularized, and it's allowing things like ISIS, the rise of the old empires, to occur.
Well, there was a really interesting report that came out several months ago. The investigative reporter Seymour Hersh, who interviewed a number of high-ranking government and military officials, found, if his reporting is accurate, that the Pentagon was conducting some back-channel communications with the government of Bashar al-Assad in Syria because they were upset. The Pentagon hierarchy was upset at the direction that the White House, the Obama administration, was taking regarding the situation in Syria, especially with the Islamic State. And they were feeding intel to the Syrian army, basically, through Germany, through Russia, in order to help the Syrian government keep the Islamic State under control. In other words, if Mr. Hersh's reporting is correct, and I have no way to verify that, but if his reporting is correct, what we've seen in the United States in 2016 was as close to the situation that appears to be developing in Turkey as you can get without actually having a 7 days in May scenario where the Pentagon actually takes over.
Yeah, absolutely.
So apparently some of our generals and admirals have the same sense of the situation that we have.
And those of us who are watching from the outskirts have no idea what these men are thinking, plotting, planning, except that the situation in the Middle East is being left to chance instead of guided, instead of being nurtured along in a particular direction. And at the same time, we have distanced ourselves from Israel and the Netanyahu government. So what we're looking at here is what Bible prophecy talks about. I think we're seeing the setup for a Middle East war in which tensions are increasing daily, until something snaps. And up to the north, you have Vladimir Putin, who has done some interesting things lately. He has come out essentially announcing that he is a member of the Russian Orthodox Church and considers himself Russian Orthodox in a historic sense, rather than communist or socialist.
Wow.
Which I think is revolutionary.
Well, and this dovetails with the research that Chris Putnam and Tom Horn pulled together for their new book, The Final Roman Emperor, the Islamic Antichrist, and the Vatican's Last Crusade, in which they point out that the Russian Patriarch Kirill, who is the head of the Orthodox Church, is, like Mr. Putin, former KGB.
Yes, there you go. and so all of the powers are shifting very gradually, and we won't know it until something snaps.
That's amazing time to be alive.
It is. It really is.
With us here at the Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference is an expert on national security and foreign affairs. He spoke this morning at the conference on his forthcoming book, Future War, Super Soldiers, Terminators, Cyberspace, and the National Security Strategy for 21st Century Combat, Lieutenant Colonel Bob McGinnis. Bob, obviously, we're seeing things happen overseas while we're here at the conference that are just reverberating around the globe. Of course, the terror attack in Nice, France, a couple of nights ago, and then overnight, last night into this morning, apparently a coup attempt foiled in Turkey. What is your assessment of the situation?
Well, the Turks have an internal conflict in a number of ways. Erdogan, who's the president, of course, has, I think, neo-Ottoman ambitions. That is contested, of course, by the Iranians, who have a desire to spread their Shia religion all the way to the Med. And at the same time, the Saudis are trying to push their Sunni agenda, which is, of course, behind the scenes encouraging ISIS and the likes. The military, meanwhile, in Turkey has been under Ataturk a century ago, a very secular organization. He came in and said, no, we want to be more like the West and less like the Middle East that are so troubled by these religious differences. And so you've had this ongoing conflict. Erdogan and his predecessors have purged the military a number of times, chopping off the top military people. But on the underside, we continue to see a lot of hesitancy, a lot of pushback, a lot of reservations about this grandiose plan by Erdogan. They don't want to see that country become an Islamist state, much like perhaps we see in Iran or even in Saudi Arabia. They want it to stay secular. But yet, when the coup took place, the intention, of course, was to overturn that government. But now the factors have come together. They've killed a lot of people. It looks as if Erdogan is going to come out looking better because he has the backing of the main political parties in Turkey. And of course, meanwhile, you're finding that the Kurds who feel disenfranchised will continue their low-level civil war, especially in the southeast. Now, how that plays out against ISIS, against the Syrian regime, and the whole mess that is evolving in that region, that's to be determined. We do have a base at Incirlik, which we fly F-16s and other aircraft out into Syria. The Turks have been cooperative. The Turks are very good allies of ours, clearly with NATO. We have bilateral relations that are military to military. So we want to preserve that. But we'll have to wait and see who the new military leaders are. Are they going to be more Islamist, or are they going to be middle-of-the-road secularist? That is all to be determined.
There are a lot of factors at play there. Of course, Turkey and Russia have had their differences now, especially.
But they've mended those differences. There are many,
right?
Erdogan apologized for shooting down the Russian aircraft. And of course, Erdogan has worked with Netanyahu and mended that fence. So Erdogan is trying to coalesce some support. And so it was interesting that the coup took place when it did.
I guess the other question then is, if the coup had succeeded, now this is hypothetical because it didn't apparently, how might have the Turkish public responded? And I ask this because I wonder how Islam in general feels about what they perceive as Western intervention in their affairs. Would they have seen a successful coup to overturn the popularly elected government as more intervention by the United States or NATO or both?
Well, they well may. Keep in mind, Erdogan, was a slim majority.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of factions that were not necessarily in his camp. It's hard to tell exactly how it would be perceived. There's no secret in many of the Islamic capitals that Erdogan is far more Islamist than anyone for the last 30 or 40 years. And so it probably would have been seen as a bad signal had the military deposed him and allowed a more secular regime to come in. That, I think, probably would have been disconcerting to the Saudis. But of course, keep in mind, the Ottoman King Empire used to include a large chunk of the Arabian Peninsula. And so, the people in Riyadh who have already come under attacks from ISIS and the like, and Erdogan, meanwhile, has probably facilitated some of what the ISIS activities are by selling petroleum and so forth that they sneak through the border. A very complex arena. Certainly faith plays a role here, and if you're not of the right faith, you're probably going to have more dead than alive.
It's, again, interesting times to be sure. We'll see what happens in the weeks ahead. Now, of course, much of that information was incomplete at the time we were talking, and yet I thought that the stature of the men was such that it was worth hearing from them. Now, was this in fact a false flag, as some have suggested? A policy and intelligence analyst I respect wrote that he doesn't buy that argument simply because it puts way too much faith in the planning and operational capabilities of the AKP party, the political party to which President Erdogan belongs. However, in the interest of not letting a good crisis go to waste, he is certainly making good use of it and tightening his grip on what is rapidly becoming an Islamist state, quite removed from the secular nation that Ataturk envisioned when he created the modern nation state of Turkey in the wake of World War I. The Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference was a wonderful experience. Sharon and I truly enjoyed our time there. I know that Josh and Christina Peck, Chris and Shelley Putnam, Tom and Nita Horn, Joe Artis, all from the SkyWatchTV team who attended, really enjoyed the fellowship, getting to meet and make new friends. And of course, the information presented by the range of speakers, everything from archaeology to fringe xenobiology. If you haven't seen L.A. Marzulli's presentation, you will want to get the DVD set. And there's still time, by the way, to order the live streaming package because all 41 presentations at the conference have been archived online. So if you don't want to wait for the DVDs, which won't be available until about October, you can watch all of the presentations for the next 2 months by logging on and signing up at prophecywatchers.com. That's prophecywatchers.com. And by the way, I had the last presentation in the main ballroom on Sunday afternoon, and it was, let's just say I was taken by surprise at how emotional I would become at the end of that presentation. I cut it way down. I had originally come into the presentation planning with about 2 hours worth of material, and I had to cut it down to try to fit it into the schedule. I didn't want people missing their flights. But this weekend, I have an opportunity to deliver an extended version of the presentation, to put back all of the stuff that I cut for time. This weekend, I'll be delivering in 2 parts the talk, The Great Inception, Satan's Psyops from Eden to Armageddon at Morningside. That is Jim Baker's church in Blue Eye, Missouri. And the talks will be presented live, streamed live to the internet at no charge. So if you're interested in seeing all of the stuff that I cut out, which includes everything from ancient coneheads to Aleister Crowley to Cthulhu and how it relates to the spiritual war in which you are deployed, You'll find that online at jimbakershow.com. Look for the live streaming link, jimbakershow.com, Friday and Saturday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. We've extended the offer for the new SkyWatch TV magazine. The first issue is already out, but you still have time to take advantage of the 5 years for the price of 3 special deal, plus the brand new book, I Predict. But that offer expires this Sunday, July 24th. Tell you more about that at the end of this program. This week on SkyWatch TV, in terms of number of views on our Roku channel, he is one of our 2 most popular guests, and that is Steve Quayle. He's back talking about his book, Empire Beneath the Ice, explaining why the Nazis actually won World War II. Now, if you haven't seen the program yet, you'll have another opportunity Saturday, actually 2 opportunities, Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Central Time on the Victory Television Network, and then Saturday night in the Tampa-St. Petersburg area, that's WCLF Television. Again, Steve Quayle, Empire Beneath the Ice, also available on demand at the SkyWatch TV channel on Roku and the SkyWatch TV channel on YouTube. Also the SkyWatch TV channel on Vimeo, all 3 of those places. On demand, Steve Quayle and Empire Beneath the Ice. We also have exclusive web content. Another interview this week with Reverend Dr. Robert Bennett. He talks about Christians and conspiracy theories. It's good to have a questioning mind. In fact, Jesus told us to love God with all of our heart, soul, and mind. But there comes a time when you have to take off the tinfoil hat. Reverend Dr. Robert Bennett, author of I Am Not Afraid and Afraid, Demon Possession and Spiritual Warfare in America. That program, a web exclusive from SkyWatch TV only at skywatchtv.com and the SkyWatch TV channels on Roku, YouTube, and Vimeo. And of course, the exclusive online content includes this very program that you're watching, but also Into the Multiverse with Josh Peck, available on demand every Thursday, Sci-Friday, available, of course, every Friday, and forthcoming programs like Skywatch Women, The Supernatural Worldview with Chris Putnam, thank you, and Teens Rock, hosted by Joe Artis. All of those available through the website, skywatchtv.com, and the SkyWatch TV channel on Roku. And of course, at SkyWatch TV, we depend on your support to keep putting this information out there. Television time, as you probably guess, is not cheap. But we'd like to thank you for your support. And during the month of July, while supplies last, information to help you prepare for that spiritual war, 50 things you need to know about Satan and demons, and empowered by his presence, receiving the strength you need each day. We will send those books to you if you're a U.S. resident, and we'll do it for your donation of any size during the month of July. For more information and to donate, log on to skywatchtv.com. But of course, you can also help us with your mouse finger. Just a simple click is all it takes to share and spread the word. Click share, click like, click subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and we do thank you for that. You'll find my stuff online at these places here: Facebook, Twitter, my website, and my new YouTube channel for my weekly interview program called A View from the Bunker. All of that there at those links. And my email address for your comments, questions, and suggestions, dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. Thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV. Save nearly half off the cover price when you subscribe now to the brand new SkyWatch TV magazine. For a limited time, a 5-year subscription to SkyWatch TV magazine is just $99. That's more than $75 off the cover price, which is like getting 2 years for free. Exclusive content, articles on prophecy, discovery, and the supernatural from Tom Horn, Chris Putnam, Josh Peck, science updates from Sharon K. Gilbert, geopolitics from yours truly, and guest writers like Pulitzer Prize-nominated journalist Troy Anderson, renowned Bible scholar Dr. Michael Heiser, Pentagon advisor Lieutenant Colonel Bob McGinnis, and more. But there is more. As an early subscriber, you'll be the first to get this new book from Defender Publishing, I Predict What 12 Global Experts Believe You'll See by 2025. This is a $20 value and includes best-selling authors like Joel Richardson, Mark Biltz, Carl Gallups, Tom Horn, Paul McGuire, and more. Find out what they think about the coming war between ISIS and the Vatican, the future of the Temple Mount and the Ark of the Covenant, a worldwide manifestation of angels, and the coming age of human hybrids. And we'll also add this DVD, The Best of SkyWatch TV 2015, a $25 value, including our most compelling interviews from last year, including Chuck Missler, Steve Quayle, the discussion of the Georgia Guidestones with Chris Pinto, and more. All of this together worth more than $200, yours now for just $99. Subscribe now, SkyWatch TV magazine. Just call the number on your screen or log on to skywatchtvstore.com.